Right, over the week, of course, the conversation has been whether the government has enough money or whether it doesn't have enough money to pay teachers or even to sustain the economy as it is. So, of course, the question is, it has brought back the conversation of where is the money, what is it being used for, and is it being used as allocated, and is there any wastage? And today, we're talking about the wasted millions, if you like, and we are hosting in studio Edward Ouko, who is the Auditor General, and Mika Cheserem, who is the Chairman of the Commission on Revenue Allocation. They will be talking to Mutegi Njau, and if you have any questions, comments, and views on the same, on Twitter, the hashtag to use is #breakfast, and send the same questions, comments, and views to our SMS platform, that is 22422, and Mutegi Njau will be able to forward them to our two guests. Over to you, Mutegi.
Good morning, gentlemen. Maybe we should start with you, Mr. Cheserem. On the positives, you're organizing a conference to sort out the mess, financing of devolution. Can you tell us about that before we go on to talk about the nasty things?
Yes. Well, let me just say thank you for hosting us. We are actually having a forum of the chairman of commissions and members of independent offices in Eldoret this coming week. And the idea is not to solve the mess in devolution, but to discuss how has devolution gone so far. On devolution, devolution is the centerpiece of our new constitution, as you know. And basically, there have been a lot of successes. Successes in many fronts. Despite what you hear, hospitals are better now than before they were devolved. There have been renovations. There have been actual expansions. There is now medicine in hospitals. Additional personnel have been employed. So on the medical front, something good has happened. And I can tell you without any contradiction, all the ambulances bought by county government in the last 3 years are more than all the ambulances bought by national government in 50 years on hospitals alone. When you come to roads, everywhere you go, you see roads being made. I come from Wasingishu, and honestly, there is now competition between some called Kera and county government. Who should do what road? So roads are happening. When you go to northern Kenya, lots of water wells are being dug, are being drilled. Nearby, Machakos, Governor Mutua has got 8 drill rigs. And I can go on and on. A lot of positives, but then there are challenges, very serious challenges. And it's all to do with the money, which the Auditor General is aware. There's a lot of fighting. Corruption has come back. Or people have said, we have devolved corruption. You read everywhere, you've heard of Bungoma wheelbarrows. I don't know there's corruption as yet, but clearly, because we have devolved, these things are now easy to see. So, we've got problems of corruption. We've got problem of supremacy wars. The county assembly and the governor are fighting. The senators and the governors are fighting. The National Assembly and the Senate are fighting. When you scratch the service, it's all to do with money. And it's clear also there is problem of, there is no dialogue. There is no dialogue. So going forward, we are really encouraging the Senate. The Senate needs to be an oversight body and to be capacitated. The problem, Makueni, you are aware. Makueni reached where it reached because the Senate, which is supposed to have intervened early, has not got the capacity. They need the technical staff, and we've talked to them, and I hope they are doing something about it. So part of the meeting in Eldoret is to say, where have we reached? Where are we going forward? But the bottom line is, devolution is the best thing to happen. When it comes to the health services, we just need to put the issues on the table. But the question of reversing health to national government, that's not an area even to discuss. It should not happen, because in 3 years, a lot of good has been done. So the commissions and independent officers will be discussing
Maybe you should tell us the commissioners, the commissions, which are the independent commissions themselves.
The independent commissions are several. The Commission on Revenue Allocation, Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, Teacher Service Commission, you know them, Public Service Commission, and then all the independent officers, Controller of Budget, Auditor General, Chief Justice, all these people. We have got a forum where we put our heads together and what are the issues on the table. And
who is the convener?
The convener at the moment is Chairman Nyachae. Charles Nyachae is the convener.
Yeah.
But basically ours is to say, 3 years on, where are we in devolution? What are the challenges? And where are the answers? Where are the answers to these challenges? So that's the purpose. But Bananjao, what is disheartening the most is that culture where there is no forums for genuine dialogue. You find the people who are responsible for health, for these, for teachers, there's a lot of engagement through the media. There is no sitting around a table and saying, yes, we have the money or we don't have the money. If we don't have the money, what is the best way forward? We play to the media permanently.
What is expected to be the outcome of this meeting, and how will it be implemented?
The outcome of the meeting is basically, we will come and say, if it is devolution, and we're talking of corruption, we put ideas together, and we will get individuals who are responsible to implement. Let me give you one example. An idea we are discussing at CRA and our colleagues. We're saying part of the problem of corruption is that the company is formed, nobody knows who are the directors, nobody knows who are the shareholders. So we want to put forward that in future, if you are tendering for any project, you list the directors, you list the shareholders, and you also state if there is any conflict of interest up front. So if I'm in Kisumu and I'm tendering to supply, I don't know, desks, and you're the son of the governor, you have to disclose there you're the son of the governor. Who are the directors of this company? We want to strengthen institutions. So that is the whole idea, to ask ourselves, yes, there are challenges. What do we do? On the Senate, we have told them over and over again, if you keep fighting with the governors, raw battles, you are going to destroy the Senate. You need to go below and get yourselves facts. And the only way to get those facts is getting technical staff to help you. When the Auditor General produces a report, which is very technical, and you give the senators, they don't have the capacity to understand. A senator is never trained to understand an audit report. That's not his job. But technical staff who will be auditors, accountants, lawyers, will go through the Auditor General's reports, appraise the committee of the Senate and tell them, now, this is what's happening. You as the leaders now, take action based on evidence. As of now, they hear wheelbarrow has been bought in Bungoma. The next day, everyone wants to hang Lusaka. Yes, Lusaka should be hanged, but when the facts have been proven that this wheelbarrow should have cost 1,000 shillings, not 100. But you see, most of the reports are used almost to politicize situations. They should be used more technically. So you have a lot of influence, Wanjao, on senators. Please tell them to quickly get themselves technical staff so that they make the Senate more relevant.
An example of that, what Mr. Chichirem is talking about, is the other day the Senate purported to investigate the collapse of Kenya Airways. And they went and questioned Yang Nyong, who is the chairman of that Senate committee. He chaired a meeting and they purported to be asking questions. That's what we're asking. Previously, what would have happened is that the government would set up an audit.
Yes.
With your people, or any independent auditor, to look at what happened.
Technical.
Then take the document to the Senate. What they purported to have done, what is it reasonable?
Thank you very much, Mtegi, and thanks for the forum and the opportunity to talk about a lot of things. But I'll answer your question, but let me also just add on to what Chairman Chefrema said about the independent offices.
Yeah.
The independent commissions and offices actually serve a very important aspect, because they're supposed to give assurance to you, to us, how our systems, which we have gender policies and we have other policies, allocation of resources, controlling of the budget, whether independently those systems are working in a manner which can eventually assure the well-being of Kenyans, the respect the Constitution. So I think that the purpose of this forum is for us to get together and see how best can we coordinate our actions cumulatively in a manner that responds to the Constitution, as well as assuring you how your resources, everybody wants to know how their resources, we should be assuring you how your resources, how our resources are being used. So that's done. But then you have the oversighting systems in that context also. You have the Senate in this case, which looks over the counties. You have the National Assembly, generally on the legislative side, and the Chief Justice as another independent. Coming to the oversighting and the fact what you're raising about the Senate with Kenya Airways, the processes are very clear. There is the oversighting, but you oversight only based on expert or institutional information. So my view, my take is that it would have been better, of course, for issues like Kenya Airways to be, first of all, ask an independent system to tell you or charge the independents to do a much more detailed report for you, and together with the experts which can be employed within the Senate, then interrogate that report and be able to then have a way out on Kenya Airways. But I think we must now act, because otherwise acting this way maybe is putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, because I remember when the post office had problems.
Yes.
A special audit of the KPTC was done, and Anyang Nyong was then the chairman of the Public Account Committee.
Right.
And Kapungena Rapngani used to be the MD.
Right.
So they made a special audit. Then they put it in Parliament. Of course, that time, because of politics, then the thing was shelved.
Right.
But that doesn't happen anymore. Why is that so?
I think it's just a question of us getting our systems working, and there's a struggle for people to understand what is the oversighting role and what is the functional role. So I think this must be distinguished. The oversighting, the functioning role must do its work to give it to the oversighting role to take over. So we need to get this very clear. I think we need to have a system whereby we have a systematic way of handling issues. When an issue, a national issue comes out, we don't go at the oversighting level and start debating. We should say, no, let's hold on first, be patient, let the system of functioning system which we should rely on, let it function, let us charge it to do this work and give us a report on which we will deliberate and have a clear recommendations out of, because I think we should be trying to help the Kenya Airways, not trying to kill the Kenya Airways. I think this should be there really in my interest. So trying to help, we must only help with issues which are going to add value, are going to solve, but we must know what exactly we are going to solve before we start talking.
Absolutely. I think on Kenya Airways, you put it right. The Senate, you put it, putting the cart before the horse. In 1990s, Kenya Airways was a parastatal, let you know. What did President Moi do? He didn't get Parliament to sit, decide. No. They formed a task force chaired by Omolo Okero. They worked for 2 years, came out with a recommendation that the best way for Kenya Airways is to be privatized. It went to Parliament, they endorsed it. So similarly, all Senate would have done, and National Assembly. These are joint, they have a problem between Senate and National Assembly. Ideally, these are National Assembly function, not a Senate for a start. But whichever way, they should have formed a task force to say, with all the expertise, please go look at Kenya Airways and then recommend to us what is ailing Kenya Airways, what is the way forward. What was done added no value. It really added no value.
But no, unfortunately, that is what Parliament, both Senate and the National Assembly are doing. Is this. Immediately something comes out of the press, they rush there, pretend to do investigations. And particularly, I think, in my view, is because of foreign seeking. You know, like they did with the Westgate. They purported to investigate Westgate, the military, and what happened is that they were given whatever they were given, the matter ended.
It's called knee-jerk reaction. I don't know about the rent-seeking, but knee-jerk reaction.
They say so themselves.
Yeah.
They have come here and said so.
Yeah. But lack of respect for the processes. Because they are not experts. What they need to do, get the experts. They are the people at the very apex. Get the expert to do their job, and then now here is our recommendation. And we really sincerely believe what he has said. They should allow institutions to work. Now, when issues come for counties, the Senate should now say, you have our experts, please go to Bungoma, investigate for us
where this
barrel came from. Are they really made of gold, as is being said? So that before we call, but I can assure you, next week, they will call Lusaka, and they'll go to the media, and it will all be publicity. Not to get the bottom of the problem, but to lynch Lusaka in the open. We want a governor to be lynched. We are going nowhere that way. The most important thing is institutional processes. It's so important. This is what happens all over the world. People don't just react from one thing to another.
So, devolution and devolving corruption. It is said you do not have the capacity to audit the national government, the state corporations, and the what is so and so counties. What is the situation?
I think the capacity is been lagging behind the devolution in a way, but I must say that a lot is being done to make sure the capacity, at least from my office point of view, is going to keep up with the devolution as we involve more resources. So yes, there is capacity issues, but it is in the process of responding to the increased mandate. In other words, the mandate, the fact that more resources are now going to the devolved units. And I think there's a recognition from all this we are hearing, and even both the national, the parliament as well as the executive actually appreciate that the more resources we put down, we must now follow it with the systems of control and systems of auditing, and I think that is agreed, and which is a good thing. So we are moving towards capacitating the office. We may not have all the employees we require to audit all that, but I think what it is going to ensure that even on my side, I try and work smartly. I try and do more with less. And what does that mean? I must try now also exploit leverage on issues of IT to try and do much smarter audits. What does that mean? I must try and see how I can also insource other Kenyans to help me do the work. In other words, extension work up to the down where the money is being spent, which is the counties. So all these things we are in the process of seeing how best we are going to work with other well-meaning systems out there in the counties to help me achieve more with less.
There is an issue also about counties not being able to have the capacity themselves. Counties were set, like we talked about Minister of Health. The minister was devolved without the proper arrangement. Although you are saying that they are better off, there are serious issues about that. the preparedness of the counties to deal with devolved aspects of devolution?
That was a major shortcoming. One of the major shortcomings was capacity, enough, even civic education, to explain to the doctors, health personnel, what's going to happen when the devolved system of government comes in. But if you look at the constitution, capacity building is to be done by national government. So basically, capacity building all round is lacking. But as the Auditor General has said, things like leveraging ICT, something is already happening. So we must not lose hope, because even when national government was running the health services, that capacity was like that. It's not as though they have lost capacity. It's a question of just trying now to improve the capacity.
Okay. There's somebody who has asked a personal question there, which I think... Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what I want.
I did send it in.
Take it over.
Anyway.
Yes, I think that one is interesting.
Yeah.
If the Auditor General is not corrupt, where did he get over to Dubai? I think there is something which people must understand. The Auditor General has been working outside, in an institution for over 25 years. I worked international, and I even actually had those two houses before I became the Auditor General. So the one which, if at all, the Kileleshwa is just substituting one in Raptor Road to go to Kileleshwa. It's very simple.
Okay, that's there are many people who have written many things here, but the issue of the wheelbarrow is being asked. But the wheelbarrow is not the only thing that...
Wheelbarrows are symptomatic, but it's a good thing, by the way. We should not say it's a negative thing. The wheelbarrow shows the public are alert. And what's going to happen by Wanjau, all expenditures will be on the computer, on the internet. We are promised by ICT by December, every county will be connected to the fiber. So citizens are going to watch. If you buy a wheelbarrow for 100,000, they'll question you. So that's a silver lining. If that wheelbarrow was bought by national government, would it have been disclosed? Yes or no? Nobody would have known.
No.
Isn't it?
Yes.
How many golden wheelbarrows have been bought by national government? Let me put it this way. In 3 years, despite all the protestations by county governments, look at the good the little money has done. Look at the roads, the hospitals, and the wastage. Traveling from Singapore to America to Israel, the Makueni County MCS virtually lived in the air. They were not in Kenya. Can you imagine how much good it could have done in Makueni? You have not been in Makueni, but the suffering of Makueni people is heartrending. 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, men, women, and Mangui are donkeys. They search for water from 3 o'clock. These same members of county assembly who come from those areas find it easier to travel to Israel, to America, back to America, and leave their people still digging on, at the bottom of rivers for water. So this money, Wanjau has done good.
What do you say to the fact that there are a lot of issues when the Auditor General did this report and tabled it and gave it to Parliament? Various ministries and counties said, oh, this auditor is not good. I've never heard that anybody saying an auditor is not good. That we give our responses, but he never incorporated them in the report. What do you say to that?
It was most unfortunate because they never took the Auditor General seriously. But when the report of Auditor General came out, Auditor General works on timelines. If he gives you, say, you have so many days to respond to the queries. If you don't respond, he's got to go and publish his report. So it was only too unfortunate, but next time round, they just need to be more alert so that, you know, they explain to the Auditor General. So hopefully the Auditor General also will be online. It will be easier to reply online so that it's easy to incorporate. I think he has said something very good. He will leverage technology on audit so that it's faster. But they had no reason to vilify the Auditor General. All they need to go back to Public Accounts Committee and explain themselves. That is why Auditor General files this document, and what you do, you reply. Let me give you the Commission on Revenue Allocation. We had queries, but our people worked with the Auditor General's people to eliminate them. We got a clean audit report because we took Auditor General's comments very seriously. And I told the staff, we have to reply and we have to answer. Once allegations have been made, it will be very difficult to clean it. Big back the wheelbarrow again. That wheelbarrow, you'll always connect it with Pungoma, isn't it? So, but if Governor Lusaka had come on the first day and said, I'm sorry, there's a problem here, I'm going to solve it. But the first thing he did was to defend it. Then, you know, now he's on a retreat. Which, unfortunate, but you know, we must learn to respect when queries are raised. We should not see them as with party intention. Yes.
There have been claims that IFMIS, that IT procurement system, since it's very computerized, I've had some civil servants say that it's very prone to corruption because you don't sign anything. It's computerized, you don't sign. I don't know how true it is because I don't know how to work. But I've had claims that IFMIS is the beginning of corruption in procurement.
I don't know, but the Auditor General will explain. IFMIS, in my opinion, if we use it well, will dramatically reduce corruption because you can follow what happened. But every system is subject to corruption. But IFMIS will show whose password was used.
Oh, whose password?
Not
whose signature.
No, you have to use the password. IFMIS is simply a software. A place like the US, all the developed countries, they are no longer on paper. Everyone is. So IFMIS is just one package. And the problem has been, we are going to train people to be on IFMIS. We are going to do a lot of training. But IFMIS, in my opinion, will reduce instead of enhancing corruption. But maybe the general, that's your area.
I think you're talking of e-procurement. I think it's a system which is still being rolled out. And so we should allow it to be rolled out. But my question is that it should be audited very early on, as soon as possible, to see the experiences in the first few transactions and being able to then inform whether it should work or not, or what trickling we should do to make sure it is secure. But I think the issue that technology should make us work better. Technology should reduce, human interventions and personal connections in the system. So I think the e-procurement should allow and eliminate what we have either been seeing. A lot of, when there's a procurement, there's a lot of human interventions, human offline connections, so that the system, all the procurement should be can be seen by everybody. So that's a good thing. But IFMIS is a system, it's not only in Kenya, it's a system which is being used in other countries. It depends on how we in Kenya have implemented it. Implemented in the system in the sense that we must make sure that the controls which were foreseen and which should be there have actually been institutionalized within the system, such that those controls can be relied upon. Like, there is a staggering element, issues of approval system. You don't just wake up and introduce anything into IFMIS. It has to first have a first line approval, second line approval, so many levels of approval. So if all these are respected, nothing should pass up to the last line approval. So these are the things which we must work with. We must now say our system, our IFMIS, as we are implementing it, are we ensuring that these controls are going to be effective, or are they effective? And we must make sure it is audited regularly.
We have heard from the Minister of Devolution that they are going to suspend and to take to court people who are supposed to have stolen money from them. But isn't it frustrating that you make recommendations and people still, particularly high level, in the cabinet level, and nothing happens? Like the ones who are suspended because of that list, the president, parliament, the majority of them now they are free. There is no evidence. Isn't it very frustrating? People who do audit, people who care about accountability.
First of all, of course, people are supposed to be innocent and if they are proven guilty. That list of the president was given to parliament. The anti-corruption people went through it. Then they gave to the public prosecutor, the office of the public prosecutor. Unless evidence is really adduced to you, what cannot be done is to take people to court without evidence. I think what is lacking in our country is proper investigations. We need, I think what he has already said, I think somebody failed the president, to be honest with you. He failed the president. Because the president should not have been filing something in parliament which was not concrete.
Checked.
You know, check and say, Your Excellency, we've gone through this thing. Chiserem has actually stolen. We've got evidence. He's got 10 houses in Nairobi. So the president is told, if you put this thing before parliament, these 175 people are actually guilty. Now, if you put the name of somebody in parliament and he's innocent, and I suspend you as minister, I suspend you for 6 months, and you are innocent, will you come back with the same heart? Will you? So, we must really protect the president. That's our job. And he said rightly, he's an expert, not a politician. And what should happen is, let us strengthen the anti-corruption body to do their job thoroughly. By the time you put somebody's name...
But that does not. If anything, the corruption body has been weakened.
Exactly. So, before you make allegations, because once I make allegations against you, Banawanjao, and Citizen TV says you've been taking bribes, you are suspended for 6 months, will you come back with the same heart? Even those of us remaining to work for you, we will be scared. So,
final word before you go?
I really don't have a final word, but I think one thing which should come out of the conference, as I said, is how best we can combine with all these issues we are raising, is how we can look at ourselves as institutions which should give independent advice, see how best we can work. For instance, take the issue of the corruption, the EACC, the Auditor General, control of the budget, Commission of Revenue Allocation. All these were intended to do things independently but in a coordinated manner. Now, if we go forward, say, between the EACC and the Auditor General, really I think we should see a lot more work being done by the Auditor General and feeding into EACC so that EACC can go with more concrete issues, rather than generally basing on all allegations, because that's been a problem. And I think we have to be careful, even as we fight the corruption which is being devolved, how we are going to go about it. Because if we are going to go about it such that the institutions are clamoring on each other, in other words, you go to account and you are trying to audit and you are told all the documentation are with EACC. That means the audit cannot do its work. But then it also allows other people to use EACC to obviate the audit. So we must be careful. We must try and these are the issues which we must talk about. The issues whereby we can coordinate our actions in a manner that we actually respond to the issues of the day. Issues of fighting corruption, issues of making sure that the delivery on the ground, water, health, and all this have been done well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That's all we have time for.